stand tall, words of blades that never fall, debate like warriors brave. Every thought we give and save. In the ring we stand tall, words of blades that never fall, debate like warriors brave. Every thought we give and save. Through the noise we cut clean, spirited mind sharp and keen, with a spark that lights the night. Join us in this epic fight. Welcome to the Spartan arena, where minds clash and thoughts clean. In the heat of every word, truth and insight will be heard. Buckle up and take your stance. In this arena, there's no chance to escape the fight by lore. Dive in deep and search for more. From heartfelt talks to fierce debates, we explore what fate creates. Side by side we seek the light. In the dark our minds ignite. Welcome talks to fierce debates, we explore what fate creates. Side by side we seek the light. In the dark our minds ignite. Welcome to the Spartan arena, where minds clash and thoughts clean. In the heat of every word, truth and insight will be heard. Buckle up and take your stance. In this arena, there's no chance to escape the fight by lore. Dive in deep and search for more. In the ring we stand tall, words are blades that never fall. Debate like warriors brave, every thought we give and save. Through the noise we cut clean, spirited minds sharp and keen, with a spark that lights the night. Join us in this epic fight. Welcome to the Spartan arena, where minds clash and thoughts gleam. In the heat of every word, truth and insight will be heard. Buckle up and take your stance. In this arena there's no chance to escape the vibrant lore. Dive in deep and search for more. From heartfelt talks to fierce debates, we explore what fate creates. Side by side we seek the light. In the dark our minds ignite. Welcome to the Spartan arena, where minds clash and thoughts gleam. In the heat of every word, truth and insight will be heard. Heard. Will be heard. Will be heard.
Spartans! What is your profession?
What is going on, everybody? We're back at it. Another stream, another show, another episode. You know where you're at. You're at Spartan HQ Network. I am your host, the Spartan, aka Peter. How is everybody doing tonight? Tonight, this subject is a little sour to me because I went through this personally. Before I go over my story, I want to bring my guys in to get him, So, no specific order. So, let's get the guys in here. Let's get our man, King of Kings. We have King Smith in the house.
Hey, what's up, my man?
What's going on, King? How are you tonight, my man?
Hey, I'm doing all right, brother. This is a interesting subject, but thanks for having me on.
You're always welcome here. You know that. You have always a seat and a home here. All right, guys. Let's get our next person. He's from the UK, and I finally got a thing song for him. And last and not least, please rise for our president. Mr. President, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. I don't know how this is going to go tonight because you have a king and you have a president. Those two things, I don't know if they can coexist within the same space, man.
Oh, here you go. Here's what I got to for that.
But we're both. But hang on. But we're both bald though. So
Oh,
again,
God, here we go.
you're not gonna beat the ball. The ball.
Yep, I have been inducted into the
bold and the
beautiful-
beautiful, the beneficent, benevolent ball brotherhood.
There we go. Ha ha.
I can't win with you. I can't win with you. All right. So I want to first, before we open up and give you guys your opinions, I want to explain my story. And King knows most of it. Paul knows it. So a few years back, I was dating a young lady, and at first was everything was fine, but I realized she was drinking a little bit too much. And people were telling me it's part of her culture. Dominicans drink a lot. I thought, all right, no big deal, whatever. One night she was drinking very, very heavily. It turned from drinking heavily to verbal abuse. So I was like, you know what? Let me exit the situation before it gets too bad. That night she comes outside and I end up buying a new phone because my phone, took a shit. She flipped the fuck out. She started slapping the crap out of me. The first thing I did is put my hands behind my back because I didn't want to get the person who says, oh, you put your hands on her. As a male, you're already guilty no matter what. My neighbor saw that. As she's slapping me, she pushes me off the deck. First thing she grabs, we were doing some yard work the day before. She grabs a garden scissor. She picks it up. I mean, this 5'6", no, I'm sorry, 5'2", short little woman whale held it. I see that throw. I'm like, oh shit. I try to duck. She nails my back. So about a few minutes later, cops show up. The first thing cops said to me, what's going on? I explained to her the whole story. Said, can I see your hands? My hands? Why? Can I see them? I said, sure. Here's my hands. Turn around. Sure. You go, okay, you didn't hit her. Wait, whoa. My neighbors called you because she hit me, not the other way around. He goes, yeah, so? All right. Can I see your marks? Sure. Yep, she got you pretty good. So once the cops showed up, she's, beyond intoxicated. So the cops go to me, well, she's been drinking. I'm like, gee, I didn't need to be a detective to figure that out. He goes, I recommend you guys leaving for the day. He goes, I got my mom, I grabbed the dog. We left for the day. And things just went sour. She started crying. He made a second chance. I'll fix it. All right, I gave her a second chance like a moron. And the first few months was fine. She didn't drink. She drank occasionally, but not. But over time, she got back in her old ways. Verbal abuse, physical. 3.5 years of that. And eventually, I could not take it anymore. We ended up the relationship. And you remember that time, King, I was crying on the phone, and because you got the heat of it, unfortunately, because I thought I loved her. I found out later on she ended up cheating on me the whole time. So, by that said, I kind of want to give you guys the floors. You guys heard my story. We'll start with King, Greg, then Paul, and give you guys your own opinion about this subject. King, you want to go first?
All right, sure, yes. When you initially asked me to do um, this this live
Stream.
stream with this subject initially, I was a little bit conflicted about doing it, and here's why. I don't have firsthand accounts of
Hmm.
any type of physical abuse that has occurred between lovers. And there are distinctions when you're talking about physical abuse, whether it's physical abuse between intimate partners or physical abuse like non-intimate partners. And there's different stats and things that are out there about that. I have secondhand knowledge or firsthand account, not accounts from other people, such as you, two other men, and about five other women about what they were a part of, what they had to live through, and then how they got past it. A lot of the stats talk about when you're looking at reporting things like the intimate physical violence between two lovers, 27% of people of women are the ones who actually do the reporting versus the 10% of men that will only report it. And typically men don't because I don't know if there's like some type of social stigma around it. It's also one of the things where even in your story, you highlighted that, well, the cops showed up, they interviewed and talked to both of y'all, and even though it was somebody that called the neighbors because of, her hitting you, they still had to, like, I don't know if they like would have ruled you out from having you had to do anything. Like, I don't know their protocols for doing that. Um my parents, and I'm going to get personal. There was an instance where the cops got called, but it wasn't for any type of abuse. But the thing that always stood out to me, and my mom is not going to like me bringing this up, but I don't care. She called the cops on him for him slamming a door, walking away and slamming a door after receiving some news that anybody wouldn't like, and the cop had to advise him that he needed to go find a place to stay because one of the questions that they asked, because he got called for a domestic issue, was did he put his hands on her? And if she would have said yes, absent any evidence, the cops told him had she responded differently or had she lied, he would have had to place him, or the cops would have had to place my pops in, um,
In custody.
handcuffs. So it's interesting to me when you hear about the dynamics of physical abuse, especially between lovers, and just the disparity that goes along with it between abusive women and versus abusive men.
So before we move to the next person, I want to also bring another story up with it really fast. I'll tell you why it's a double standard in my eyes, like you just said. My cousin was also in an abusive relationship. So he was dating this Puerto Rican woman. My cousin's about 6'2", about 300 pounds, give or take. So he's a big guy. So they got into it. She ended up stabbing him. So the cop showed up and everything. He went to court. The judge called his name, Mr. X, Y, and Z. I don't want to put his name out there. His ex was named Jenny. Jenny came up. The judge looked at him like, she stabbed you. He goes, yeah. He looked at her like, you stabbed him. Uh-huh. I'm like, wait a minute. Something's not right here. He literally starts laughing almost in court because how big my cousin is. And this little tiny woman did this to him. When I heard the story, I was like, what? And this is before I went through any of my stuff. I was like, the first words came out of my mouth was, what the fuck?
Exactly. Like it shouldn't matter. The laws aren't gender discriminatory, in my opinion, or at least they should be. I don't know. I don't know for certain if there are laws that are harsher or more lenient based on your gender, but it would be bullshit, man, if it was. That right there was extremely unprofessional.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So
Damn.
before we continue this, go ahead, King. I'm sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, man, I was just gonna say that's wild to actually hear that.
Greg's had to step away for a second. Paul, you want to take the stage for a minute?
Yeah, well, certainly like King, I don't have obviously firsthand knowledge of DV, and I to say I have secondhand knowledge, I got to go all the way back. You're talking almost 50 years
Mhm.
ago, when again I was we were living with my uncle and his wife, and they had a very volatile relationship. Um, they were either fighting or fooling around. I'll just say, I want to say, but it was like hot and cold. It was just constant going back. I've been in the kitchen where they lived in a trailer, and been in the kitchen where she's got the knife in her hand. The same woman actually shot my mother. I never told anybody this. She actually shot my mother in the leg. Fortunately, the bullet went between her tibia and fibia. And in fact, they never removed it. It was, because it was like it didn't do any damage to the leg, and it would have been too much to take it out. So they just left it there. And I remember my uncle when he got back, because I guess my mom and she had her own issues. So she was volatile. The wife was volatile, and they got into it. So again, after my mom got shot, my uncle came home, and he came out with a belt and beat her like a child. It was just, so that's the stuff I remember. I don't know anybody personally as a man who's gone through that experience. But I did, and again, you let me know if it's appropriate to share. Me, I'm always putting
Mhm.
stats up and stuff. So I'm just what Kane was talking about, there's some stats out there, obviously, to talk about the rates, like where domestic violence happens the most. I think the stats, I think one in four women, 1 in 3 women may experience domestic violence, but 1 in 4 men may. And I think the King also raised the point earlier that you have 27% of women reported, but only 10% of men. And there's reasons for that. Stigma. You're a big guy. How can you let a woman do that to you? That
Mhm.
sort of thing. So there's a lot of factors in play in terms of what why the numbers may be slanted. But I think it certainly is a bigger problem than men would want to admit, because especially in these spaces, in these manosphere type spaces where guys want to be masculine and hyper masculine and things of that nature, no one's going to necessarily want to admit that they've gone through something like that. But I think it is a bigger problem, and especially now with the perception and from what you guys shared as far as how law enforcement. So yes, you have like the Violence Against Women's Act. There's provisions in there for men and women. It's, even though it says that, it's supposed to be gender neutral. And all 50 states and territories, they have these laws. But again, how things are perceived by law enforcement, I think that's an area where they still need to um, get some training and fight some stigmas, just like as sometimes as people of color, there's stigma with law enforcement in terms of how we interact with them. Sometimes I think there's stigmas when it comes to men versus women in terms of how the law looks at a particular situation. And I, certainly it wouldn't surprise that, you have some women who take advantage of that, where it's like their word has more weight, and especially when you have Me Too and Believe All Women, which I'm not against. I'm not, getting on the soapbox against that, but that does come with some repercussions to it. And you have to be mindful that, on a case by case basis, all of these instances need to be considered fairly. So I think as long as that goes on, you're going to have these disparities in the reporting. But like I said, I definitely think it happens a lot more than what people give it credit for. And yeah, until um, people start taking men more seriously in terms of the reporting and the interaction with law enforcement, I can't see it changing anytime
I'll
soon.
be honest with you, Paul. So I want to speak to my case and some other men that I know and I spoke to about they went through. Most men are embarrassed to go to the cops or to somebody say, "Hey, my woman beat me." The only person that knew what was going on with me at the moment when this was going down was our really good friend CQ. And the conversation me and him had, he goes, "Listen, dude, if that was my wife, I wouldn't be okay with it." And he, his wife is a sweetheart, in my opinion. She has her, her wild side, but she's a good woman for him. But the point I'm trying to get to, most men won't report because they're embarrassed and scared. What is like, it got to a point she's even came up to me at points like pulling my pants up. She goes, "I want a real man in my marriage." And one thing I want to also bring up, and I spoke. I know you know this about Paul. I don't know about you, King, but she was 2-time divorcee before I met her. And and that's a factor. She mentioned to me a couple of times, like, "Oh, I slapped the crap out of my brother-in-law because he was doing X, Y, and Z." I'm like, that's not okay. Even after, even after the fact that happened, she was laughing about it, going like she was joking around. It was funny. It wasn't. And I'm gonna bring Mariana into this one really fast before I bring David in. Mariana has met my ex.
Mhm.
And go ahead. Before, hang on.
Hey,
Me get your.
Pete,
Go ahead. All right, what's
Oh
up?
my God. Okay.
You met my ex, so
Yes.
please tell me your experience with my ex. I know it was a very small time, but please.
Um, the vibe that I'm got from her, I will say, is almost like she hide it very well, but it seems like she doesn't have. It's like she's not. It's like she doesn't care only for herself.
That's facts.
I hate to say that because it's almost like I'm the self center. I'm the queen. I get what I want. Like I could. It's like the body language says it all. Like it just like I don't know how you put up with that.
Let me
That's
ask
to
you another
me.
question, Mariana. I'll follow up after that. And I don't mean to cut you off. You were there in person. The
Hmm.
aftermath after the breakup.
Hmm.
How was I emotionally?
Oh, you were falling apart. You can't pull yourself together. And you were like it's like you were grieving, yes, but you can't even like you were not yourself. And once somebody left, you were like you were falling apart. And you were crying like it was too much for you. And then you need support. Then you had to talk to your guys and your close buddies to let it out, because it's not to hold it in either. So it was, to me, it was devastating to see that. When I
Mm.
saw that, I'm like, wow, I never see so much wreckage. Was she like, I hate to say that type of use that word, but it was basically like you almost you was basically emotionally destroyed, I will say. I don't know what else can I say, but
No,
I
no,
didn't like,
yeah.
it was too much. And I know it's not easy that you went through, but it was the good and bad, but also that didn't, I don't know what I mean, it was like it was a lot of history between you two, I will say.
Yeah. Greg, you got anything on this before we move to David?
I know how you feel, brother. Been there, done that. Um, Not nice. Really isn't nice. Especially if your ex-partner smashes you about. I've been there myself. I've got no more. David?
David, you're up, my man.
That always gets me.
Are you serious?
Bear paw.
I think he fell asleep again.
No, I'm not
Well,
Go ahead, David.
this topic hit this topic hit for home. I'm almost similar to Paul Bennett because I grew up in it as well. Talking about I have first-hand experience and second-hand experience. Watched my mom and my dad going back and forth, go to multiple divorce and remarried. I remember watching my father who beat my mom and trying to drag her when we were living in 99 Lafayette Avenue, downtown Brooklyn, actual location, that is, second floor, apartment 2A. And one night, they were fighting the next few moments. I'm with a black tie, I wake up. My dad is gone. My mom was around. She told the police to pick him up. It was a back and forth thing. They got to a point whereby the abuse went toward to the kid, and I took most of the blunt. You talk about belt, belt buckles, extension cords, 2x4s, twitch on the tree, horse whip. Hmm. You name it, I've been through it. And coming from a culture back home, people don't understand what CBN stand for. CBN stand for Canadian born Nigerian. As a Nigerian person, this is considered to be cultural, whereby a parent can discipline their kid anyhow they fit. Now, there's a limit to it if you want to be biblical to it, but when we come to African parents, there is no such thing as a limit. I have an extension cord I stick at this on my back because I drop an egg or two, or I'll make it easy for people to understand. I did not get an A in my grade. I didn't get a close to a B. If I get a C, I get my ass whooped. Then try to go to the country yourself and you find out that's the normal thing. You're not allowed to come late to school. You get your ass whooped. You don't wear the proper uniform. You get your ass whooped. You make noise in the classroom. Get your ass whooped. You get into a fight. Get your ass whooped. You didn't pass your test. You get your ass whooped. That was called corporate punishment. Something that was passed down by the British. A lot of people don't understand the history of that. People from Africa and Caribbean will understand that very, very well. But that was passed down to us to the point whereby even I question it. Now, when it comes to relationships, I experienced that one too as well. But I'm not the one who tried to give it. I'm the person who like to walk away from it. I don't like getting in an argument. If I feel like we're getting in an argument, it's best for me to walk away. Leave me the hell alone.
David, let's try to
Let me.
keep it on more like domestic between
Well, now I'm saying
yeah.
domestic. I'm talking about domestic part. That's what I'm speaking on. Because I know what it leads to when I observe it as a child. Neither of my parents tried to walk away from my art before it get domestic. So as I got older, it became a thing that was my only outlet. I tried to avoid being in that situation where it get too domestic. It's better for me to walk away. But imagine me watching my parents going back and forth, domestically speaking. I walked away from 'cause I didn't like what I was seeing. I took my younger children out from the bedroom to the living room so they could avoid it. But we're not going to take no side. And imagine that because I did that, I become the number one enemy. Whereby anything that happened and they get to the domestic dispute, I'm the one to blame for it. Yeah, little on me. Mom blamed me for it. Dad blamed me for it. Interesting. It was my fault because they fight. It was my fault that they got them. What can a 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old boy do when they see two grown folk going back and forth? Hmm, not a goddamn thing. But for some apparent reason, the church folk for your mom and dad church think it's your job at the age of 9, 10, 11 to fix your mom and dad problem. Really? So if I tell you I don't have a childhood, don't think I'm playing around with that. I grew up in domestic abuse. I watched and I see it. I got blamed on things because of one, according to the people my mom and dad told the African church, it was my job to fix their grown ass problem. Really? For those of you guys who saw me on Black Men Unfiltered, I spoke about this one at length. This what little kids go through, whereby they have nowhere to go and they gotta watch it first class seat. So when Craig is nodding his head, he understands it, what the outcome that lead to. If you're not a part of it, you're not taking any side, you become the bigger victim. So imagine watching it, seeing it, go through it yourself. Then it got even further from domestic abuse, physical abuse, to verbal abuse. Hmm. When both your parents constantly remind you that you're a mistake, you should have never been born. You should be aborted. Say that to a 9, 10, 11, 12-year old kid, and see what it done to him psychologically speaking. I'm not a fan of it. So this is why I grew up. Craig understand that, so he understand the pain.
Oh, I do
This is
very
why
much, David.
this is why I told
My mum's ex-partner used to beat the crap out of me, both of them, since I
mhm,
was about 8, 9 years old myself, right? For nearly 15 years. Um, just because they were in a bad mood or they were drunk. Um, yeah, been bad.
my parents wasn't drunk. They were sober and I was going through
Do you
this.
know the most
Here's
peaceful
the thing.
parts of my life right now is the past 13 years since I've been with her. That's the only peaceful part I've had in my life. I've had most of my ex-partners beat the crap out of me most of my life. Well, not most of my life, but parts of it. So,
Here's the question I always somebody asks me: aren't they any warning signs in the beginning of the relationship? I'm like, sometimes there's no signs till it's too late.
Whoa. Hold on. Let me I'm sorry, American folk, I don't think you understand it, but they call it this is a normal thing in Nigerian culture. This is why when you deal with ethnic group, you gotta understand the dynamic and their mindset at it. It's supposed to be normal, really. So it's normal to go back and forth verbally, physical, and emotional. Then you put it on the child. I was the firstborn to both of them. If I take no side, you go further to another level, telling me that was a mistake. I should be born. I remember several times my mom and dad kicked me out on the streets in New York City when I was homeless as a kid because I didn't follow the norm. I didn't got no lifesaver, mind you. I go through all that to my adulthood to the point where my mom would go to my wallet and take my social security card on my wallet and other stuff, even when I'm looking for a job at my young adult. And I'm wondering why my mom taking my. She told me she have every right to do what she want to. Really interesting. Then she seized my Canadian passport. I could never get hold of my own document until, let's see, after my mom passed away. Interesting. The type of gaslighting I was going through from this domestic abuse scenario to the point where my own mom pinned my sibling against me. What did it make me do? Oh yeah, I cut communication with my younger brother and my younger sister. And when I talk to is in my baby sister. The other two is on site. If you want to gaslight me for so long, think I'm stupid, and want to insult my intelligence, then by all means, I'm allowed to go bear paw level 10 on their ass. I grew up in physical abuse. I grew up in mental abuse. I grew up in verbal abuse. I get lied on to. I got accused of things I did not do. I got blamed for things that had nothing to do with me. And the lie go on for so many years to the point that no one had the backbone to actually tell the truth and admit it. If they admit the truth, will be behind my back. But in my faith, they continue the lies. I'm about 47 years old. If my only way to relieve my stress is take a 300-pound punching bag and go beyond beast mode, that's when I can control whatever rage that has suppressed it in my life over more than 30 years. When I tell people why I call myself, because there's some that have my moment, I want to body slam, jackknife, power bomb someone on the concrete floor just so I can release whatever pent up aggression that might seed out of me because I suppressed it for so long. I wasn't playing around with it. I was not. It's one thing about my younger years when I'd been in the gym about maybe 4 to 6 hours a day, every day to control that pent up aggression, lifting weight like a monster. People thought I ain't got no life. I told them I'm doing it for the sake of to control the rage. I put in huge dent in my metal locker, broken wooden locker to the point where I almost break it in half with my fist. Put a 17-inch crack on the wall, brick wall with my fist because I couldn't control my rage. That is the byproduct of domestic dispute put on kids because they don't know how to control their own problem like adults.
Hmm.
I remember became a walking weapon at one point. I remember one time my dad hit me so much to the point where I snapped. I blacked out, literally speaking, pulled my dad by the throat, lift him up about he's like dangling 3 feet in the air, and took my cousin and my brother to pull me off him. I lost it. I had enough. I'm the quiet kid who liked to walk away from the situation. But imagine that quiet kid, you push him, push him, push him, push him, push him, push him till his eye literally black out. My younger brother and my cousin told me my eye went completely black. There was no color in my eye. This is me. The way I chew beer pork. I know that type of personality I have when I'm triggered. All I can think of is seek and destroy the moment I black out.
Hmm. Hang on one second. King, you just found some information online. You said in the comments.
No, there was somebody that's watching that. This has been something that they've been talking about for over a decade. They wanted to know if anybody on the panel have seen anything or heard any of our politicians, right? Our the people in our branches of government that have power towards enacting legislation. And while Black David was talking, I went and just did a quick search. I can't find anything regarding legislation specifically about giving resources and things for men that are victims of any type of physical abuse. And that's insane when you think about it, right? Because there is a as Paul highlighted, it was the Violence Against Women's Act that have since
Yeah,
tried to
let
curtail
me
itself to be inclusive of everybody, yet the law is still named Violence Against Women Act and not Violence Against People Act. So that's interesting. And the commenter that's in my chat, shout out to the Real CP Show, was just wanting to pinpoint that and then ask if anybody here has seen anything from our politicians, specifically
Really,
focusing on abuse against men.
So
really.
I will speak personally. When I went through it, it was nothing. The only help I got, because I had a mother who was elderly and fighting health issues. This before her cancer wasn't even in the picture. They told me she might get help, but because she's not the victim, there's nothing you can do. You're a man. You can go work and deal with yourself. Pretty much. It's fucked up. King is very fucked up. Let's be honest here.
That is insane.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Hold on. You think they're gonna have any policy for men? I'm sorry, I'm in New York freaking City. We got far more homeless shelter for women and women with kids compared to men. If it's men, it's very little to almost it's non-existent. Oh, we just had to suck it up and take it like a man. And that's not the motto of United States of America. Hmm. How many men grew up in abusive household to the point whereby they could never see themselves in a relationship ever again? They don't like or trust women because their mom was very abusive to them for multiple years. Unlike Craig, who had a lifesaver, I didn't have a lifesaver. I ran across a couple of backstabbers to the point where I'm more of a loner. I was an introvert before I became an extrovert to the point where I could go back in and out whenever I feel like it. If I don't trust people at all, I lock myself in my own thought. Don't want to be
Mhm.
bothered by anybody. If I remember to go to the gym, I'm just focused on lifting weight. If I see a punching bag, I'm just focused on unleash whatever rage that I'm allowed to seep out, as long as I don't go out of control. So if I said I don't trust a
David,
man,
hang on one second. David, hang on. Time out. I'm getting from the back chat. Your volume is a little too low. Can you in a way raise that?
with my volume,
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I wasn't sure if it was just me because I hear Sparta like loud and Black David low. But while he
David,
looks at
say
that,
something.
and then again, it could be me. I'm also curious. It
Hold
or
on. Hold on. David, say something.
uh,
am I loud enough now?
that's yeah, that's
You're
better.
better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
Yes.
better,
better.
David.
So trust
Um.
me when I do why I say what I said because I
Hang on, David.
get
Let King get his thought, and then
okay,
you come
no
back in.
problem,
All right. I'm sorry. Go
no
ahead, King.
problem.
Yeah. No. I was just thinking about it because there's a ripple effect when you don't have those resources for men like that. Because there was somebody else that commented over on my Facebook page, and he said almost the same thing that David said. Is like they witnessed this stuff, and then growing up, right, you have to have some strong self-regulation yourself to be able to regulate your emotions because without getting any type of help for that, if you were either a victim of it or you witnessed it firsthand, if you don't have those resources to understand how you're feeling, just like Black David said, you're going to eventually want to grow up and power drive somebody, eventually. And then now you're having this cycle of domestic abuse, and it could have started because you witnessed it or you saw it and you didn't have the resources to understand it, and then it grew in you, and now we're just doing this thing all over again. It's wild.
See, here's the worst part about my story, King. When the first incident happened, because I couldn't go back to that house, we were homeless for about 2 full months. I was going to hotel to hotel to hotel. Like, when, I made, I was going to a hotel. I said, "Hi, I need a place to stay for like a week." They gave me a good deal. So I say, then I renewed it. When they started raising prices, I was like, time to go to the next hotel. So all my savings I had saved over the years went out the window because I had to pay for food. Obviously, eating out is expensive. You know, getting the hotel alone is expensive. On top of that, I might work in a health, in the food industry, but it doesn't mean I eat for free all day long either. I eat a meal and that's it. But I can't bring like meals from mom. I got to worry about the dog too. It was the worst case scenario that happened. Mariana, you've been a little quiet. You're a woman. What do you have on this?
I'm sorry. Um, what is the question? I'm sorry, you lost me there. I'm sorry.
As a woman, what's your opinion on this?
Um, for the basically overall abuse, what's happening?
Yeah,
Um,
Well, first of all, what I would like to know from Ariana, have you seen it?
seen it.
A woman abusing a man,
Um,
either in your family or someone close to you, outside of Peter. Have you seen that dynamic in your life where a man is getting abused by his woman, especially in your culture?
um, it's very rare in my culture, but I do see it in public. Um, when I was growing up from, in the Bronx before moving up here, I see a woman insulting her man, call her names like, "Oh, you idiot, you this," and then smack him back of the head. Like, there's no need for that. Like, and I'm like, I pretend I didn't see it, but it's, to me, it's like totally disrespectful. Like, why? Like, you could talk it out, but there's no need for hitting. Why you want to hit a guy? The worst thing is to hit the back of the head of a person, because I've been told, hitting the back of the head is the worst part, because it cause a lot of PTSD and all this other stuff. So,
It's funny
and
you mentioned
I
this, Mariana, because
yes,
when I was younger, I was in high school. This girl,
yeah,
and she meant it as joking around, but my
hmm,
mother was about to whip her ass, and I was
yeah,
joking around with her. I went to, oh, we should steal that bike and go for a bike ride, motorcycle, nothing cool. She
yeah.
winds up behind my head, whoom.
Oh
My
my
mom
God.
looked over her, and I see her grab the door, put her car in parking lot, and I'm like, oh fuck, my mom's about to kill this bitch. And simple as that. And the next day, I looked at her like, you know what? If you ever lay your hands on me again from my mother or anybody else, I cannot promise my mom's not gonna put you in your grave. Simple as
Wow.
that. I went to her because my mama was about to fucking kill her. You know how my mother is by now.
Yeah.
You met her. Paul, you
Hmm.
met my mother a couple times. You know how she is.
Hmm.
Any parent, King, you're a father. If somebody was hitting Castle, how bad will you black the fuck out?
I don't want to incriminate myself here on these airways.
Are you sure I
So
wouldn't kick their ass?
let's put it this way: we're gonna see a side of King I never seen in my life. That's all I'm gonna say. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
But you have some slides, Paul, right? You wanna?
Well, I think a lot of it's been covered already. I'll just show it. I can just show it quickly. Well, it's in the back, so someone needs to pull them up.
For some
Obviously.
reason, not letting me put it up. For some reason, I don't know why.
Okay, well, like I said, basically, it was just some general
Mhm.
statistics on DV, but I think it's, and again, I empathize greatly with the stories that have been told, either firsthand or even secondhand. But I think the big thing here is, like, when guys say there's no resource. Again, I understand that the Violence Against Women's Act, it's obviously it's named after women, but I went through, there was a website that actually dealt with this specifically male domestic violence. In fact, that was part of my slides here. This is Chinadu law firm, and they kind of have a breakdown of the statistics and the measures and major cases concerning the act itself. So for what I'm seeing here, the act is fair as far as its application for men versus women, but the underreporting is a big problem. If you're going to have, you can't say something's not necessarily working for you if you're not using it. So again, that number that was flashed on the screen, the hotline, men can use that. But how many men are going to use it? And to try to change, if we're going to see some change, men have to speak up. So I think that's so it's hard, it's kind of hard to gauge, okay, well, the system's not working. Like I said, I get law enforcement. In fact, that was one of the points that was raised. Again, how law enforcement just sees men and women, or just people in general, it could be very archaic.
Mhm.
And I think that certainly needs to change. That comes down to training, and even when you watch the even disciplinary action for cops, especially if a lot of these cases are filmed, and just see. I mean, if you see a cop just automatically going up and putting a guy in handcuffs because there was a domestic dispute at the house, that needs to be dealt with. But as far as these other resources that King was talking about, again, how do you know you don't have them if you don't call? So if there's a major underreporting issue, it's going to be hard for guys to get that kind of support. So I would, certainly encourage any guy, if you say you're dealing with that or, a person, use it. And I would like to hear stories. Like if you told me, yeah, I called, they said these resources, but at the end of the day, nobody helped me. And if you have a trail of that, then I can say, okay, yeah, then the law is broken. But I can't say if it is or not when guys have this stigma of reporting. And especially for guys like Pete. Now, Pete is a martial artist. Just like David is a martial arts. King, I'm sure you've had some hand-to-hand combat training, military service, or what have you. So again, when you have these guys who have this level of training to defend themselves, and you're still hearing that these guys are being abused, then I gotta go into other areas. I have to ask other questions. Now, there's also a stigma that's in society. And again, I'm not going to argue if it's right or wrong. I have my views on it. I get kind of blasted for it. I think anybody, male or female, has the right to protect themselves against another person. Full stop.
I agree.
So we grew up. I know King and I were a little bit older. David's a bit older. We were raised with this idea that you never ever put your hands on
I agree with that one too.
under any circumstances. Yeah. I never rock with that. Ever. I'm like, if someone is looking to do you bodily harm, which you can very easily do, especially if you have a weapon, if you have a knife, or something that can do you harm, you have a right to defend yourself. So I think the culture has done a lot for this issue in terms of how we raised our boys to say under any circumstances or always walk away. I'm like, no, if I had a son, I would never teach my son that. And I know my wife wouldn't teach him that. Oh, if some girl comes and hits you and it's upside your head, you have every right to defend yourself. My wife would not. I mean, that would really take it, my wife is pretty laid back. But someone, a woman abusing her son, no, that's not happening. So that conversation has to change in terms of this, what we're taught. And then the other thing I would raise, just based on what's been said, guys were talking about the warning signs. But from what I'm hearing, the warning signs may have started very early in your life. If you had an abusive mother or parents that used, which is why I'm not a big fan of corporal punishment. We've had gray area shows talking about that very subject. I've never used corporal punishment on my daughters, and I'm not an advocate of it. I think it's barbaric, and as an African American, I think it's slave mentality. Guys in the South get to me all the time. Oh, back in the day, yeah, they used to whip our butt and get the switch off the tree and beat us until we were all that kind of stuff. And I think that's barbaric. So that's me. And I get half the black people, who grew up in the South and all that kind of stuff. They say I've drank in the left Kool-Aid and I'm in the other thing. But I do not believe personally in this time there's other ways to discipline your children without physical violence. Mm-hmm. But what I've been hearing, certainly from Craig and David, y'all grew up with that. And if you got it from your moms, then when you meet these women, is it kind of like a replay in your mind of stuff that you didn't deal with when you were a kid, or that trauma that you had as a kid? So I think we got to look at that. I think we got to look at that also. And I know, and Pete, I have met your mom. She's from what you've told me, she can be
firecracker.
Extra, yeah, physically so. I mean, by no means, I swear, I don't want to disparage your moms,
not a bad way.
Just stories that you've shared on the air. I mean, that would be that's. I'm like, man, but I got it. My mom too. I mean, she had her, my full disclosure again. My mom was a paranoid schizophrenic, so I had to deal with all kinds of stuff. I got beatings for being a clone because she had that paranoia going on. So I got it all the time. But fortunately, a situation where I would take abuse from a woman, but for some people, I mean, just and the same thing for girls. I mean, growing up, how many times, um, girls who grew up with abuse from their fathers or what have you, and then they take it from the guys in their life. So I think it work. I think it works both ways. If you had an abusive mom as a boy, you're more than likely to take that kind of abuse when you're a man. And vice versa for a woman also. If you had an abusive father, then you may just expect that that's what men do until someone teaches you different and shows you it's like, no, that's not how it's supposed to work. So I think those two things for what I'm hearing tonight, that's what's at play. Guys who've had to deal with that kind of trauma growing up and not knowing how to properly deal with it, and this over correction of men not being able to protect themselves from a man. I don't care if it's a 100-pound woman or a 300-pound guy. I think everybody should have agency to protect themselves at all times.
But this is where we
And
have
I would never tell my son, if if she wants to get up in your face and swing, then you got my permission to handle your business. And I
um
just think that's something that we need to start, perpetuating now, especially if women think that now, because of all these rules, that they can just step up to a dude.
Big Brother Bennett. This is where we have a issue as our society. Yeah, I'm sure you're aware that you're in New Jersey, I'm in New York. They have made so much resources for women who coming from abusive household, either from a marriage or from a parent house whatsoever. Whether they have a shelter or any kind of thing, or they got a relocation program to put them somewhere safe. For men, there was never not one an ounce of resource prepared. We had to suck it up as men. Then you find women use the legal system against men as well to the point whereby we have seen videos. Men decide not to raise their hand against the woman attacking and abusing them, then she will call the cop and assume, or not assume, gaslight, tell the police officer that this man was abusive. How many men who got locked up for false report, but they have an abusive woman or abusive mom, or whatever that may be the point. We have heard the story that they will believe a woman more before they believe a man, unless you have video footage. So without video footage, your word is as good as mine, dead.
See, here's one of my questions is going to be tonight for the panel is when you're in an abusive relationship, why do you stay in? In my case, it was because I felt I was in love with a woman. I wanted to give her a chance. I thought I could turn her around into a better way. In other words, try to fix her, if you want to use those words. And sometimes you cannot fix somebody as much as you much love them. And I learned over the years, you can only show the door. They need to walk through the door. What I'm trying to say with that is if they want to get fixed, whatever the case is, if they're alcoholic, drug addict, abusive, whatever the case is, they want to be changed and fixed. You can't force that on anybody if they're not ready.
No, well, I would say you said sometimes you can. I think no time you can fix. Or you should go into a relationship with that mindset. I'm not here to repair. I'm not a somebody. I don't do missionary dating. I don't do any kind of anything to turn you around. If you're not ready for a relationship, then I'm not dealing with it. I'm not trying to reform anybody. So I think again, how people are taught, how men are taught in these relationships, you have to you have to be firm on that. But again, that's another thing. You brought the L word into it, and unfortunately, again, how we even romanticize that, or how we put that above everything. Oh well, because I'm in love with her, you'll just let a lot of stuff go because you're in love with her. You know what I mean? I mean, love should come, that's why, when I was looking for a wife, I said I loved the Asian Indian community, because that was the first group of people where love is like, what's love have to do with it? It was about matching. It was about finding the right person, and love came later. But now everybody's like, oh, I got to be in love. And then once I'm in love, you just love is supposed to cover a multitude of sins. But when you get blind to that, and I would say for guys, especially, and I've said this before, a lot of us think without Johnsons. And we sometimes confuse that that nut for love. And we'll just be like, as long as she's giving me that, then you'll put up with a whole bunch of stuff. You know what I mean? So we're not
I
even
agree
thinking
with that, Paul.
rationally. We're not even thinking rationally half the time, because again, we're thinking what's below the waist rather than what's up here.
I agree, but I want to add to that a little bit. Sometimes as men, not only we're thinking with her doing, we're also thinking, again, anybody can push back on when I'm done with my comment, is I'm not good enough for the next person. I will not find anything better than this. She's the only person who's going to deal with my bullshit, and so on and so on. Sometimes you think that's the only option you have, is stay in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Let me piggyback on that one.
Yeah, go for it, David.
I'll make it easy for you.
Hang on. Before you do that, hang on. Dave, you go first. Greg, you go next. King, you're after her, and Mariana, you go last. All right.
I'm glad you mentioned that exact statement, because this will come from verbal abuse. When your mom or your dad telling you you're never good enough, you never make it to anything in life. If they say that you would carry your butt of luggage, my mom told me that bullshit, my dad told me that bullshit, I will never be successful. I will never marry the right one. And when you are told that as a child, growing up multiple times, when you get to adulthood, what do you think that's going through your mind? You would think that you can never find one good enough. You think that you're not to get trash ass women. Some people end up being loners because of that, to avoid rejection, just to avoid being disappointed. I try to change myself, manually speaking, meaning change the way I think, the way I do things. I give people a benefit of that to the point I got fed up. This is why I said I only spent 30 or plus years in this country. I got every right to say I am done with American women. Point blank. To the point as, if I see you in danger, if you're the kind of woman that remind me of someone I know, I'm not gonna save you. I'm gonna walk past you.
It's funny. Cut you off a second. I've been in a situation before.
And that is, I'm being blunt as
No,
possible.
you have a good point, because I've been in a situation in New York City, not in PA, in New York. A woman's getting beat up. I'm like, oh, shit. My first instinct, go rescue her. I start running over there, and I grab him, like, dude, what you doing? Next thing I know, she's slapping me. Like, what the fuck? I'm trying to help you, lady. And then I'm getting hit. And like, you're not helping me. And I'm like, okay, did I miss the memo here? Did I?
Yeah, you missed the memo.
Yeah.
You missed the memo. We got the updated version. You got the outdated version.
I've been in that
Learned that
exact
lesson a
shoes,
long time ago.
Pete. I've been in those exact shoes, brother. I've actually
I got
got a
that from
scar
high
on my
school.
arm from a woman I used to. I ran across from a bloke who was beating the shit out of his missus and laid him out. And she came along and left. Actually cut my arm open with one of them, them little nail files with the hook on the end of it.
Wow.
God
I've
damn.
actually got a scar on my left arm from it.
You know how many young men lost their lifetime to be the, what's the turn corner in Brooklyn, New York?
Hero.
Oh yeah, Captain Saver. What? You know what that means? And they lost their life because of that. I got that memo a long time ago. Mind my effing business. Do you know how many fights I've seen on the street of Brooklyn, Manhattan, Queens? Don't even mention the Bronx. Bronx is worse. And you just watch it from a day, and that same girl still go back to that same guy. Those are things you say in high school. Girl go after the most abusive one. The one is a nice guy, they will shit on that person. So this is why I said crystal clear. I am beyond done with American women. Let's not forget we had this thing going for the past couple of years. The passport bro, man ate shit. That's all that nonsense been going on. And I'm watching and I'm seeing it. This is an upgrade version of what we had in high school days.
Hang on, David.
So I got
I push back a little bit because from what I understand, Craig, you're not in the U.S., correct?
I'm in the UK, mate.
There you go. So you keep saying U.S. This is a global
It's the same
problem.
sort of problem. It's the same problem in
It's
this
not
country.
just the U.S. problem. And the more I be hearing from Nigerians, like you got Nigerian men who will not marry Nigerian men. I mean, Nigerian men who will not marry Nigerian women. So I'm
I
like,
know.
where you going to go away from this issue? You know, I mean, it's just you know, relationships in general. Wherever you go, it's going to be hard, unless you want to go to the
I'm
Middle
aware.
East or
No,
something like
I'm
that,
aware.
I'll be honest with
or
you.
some
Hang on a
other.
second.
You know,
Oh,
it's not just a U.S. problem, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're 100% right. This issues in Greece. It's probably in Canada. It's probably in UK, Spain, Mexico. Any country you visit is a global issue right now.
It's even in Asia, because remember we had that guy on the gray area. Who's the guy? He always wore a mask all the time. I think he was like.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, but he was talking about the same thing.
Josh.
He lives in like Thailand or something like that, and he said the same
Vietnam.
thing.
Josh.
It's like,
Josh.
yeah, it's like, you know, like before you marry them, like they're very nice, and all these passport bros going over there trying to get these women, but they say once you marry them, it's like 180 degrees. They run the house, all the negative stuff that, you know, these guys are running away from. It all comes out once you marry them. But to get you, yeah, they'll be soft and dainty and compliant and all that kind of stuff. So it changes there all. So I don't know where you're going to go to get away from this problem, or you think that, you know,
No, no.
you can't work it out here. Wherever you go, you know, I don't think there's a haven. And for all those passport bros who went over and did all this stuff, where are the receipts? You should have hundreds of thousands of passport bros that say, this is my wife and this I'm happy and all that kind of stuff. All they doing is still creating passport content. It was just a license for them to go and sample other flavors in other parts of the world. But I'm not seeing marriage. I'm not seeing families. I'm not seeing children. I'm not seeing any of that. So I think that's a ruse also, my personal opinion.
You're
I've got
right.
the solution, Paul. I've got the solution.
What's that?
Go ahead.
Get yourself a bot.
Oh no, we're going there. The Stepford Wives.
Really?
Hang on.
Bot?
This like the Stepford Wives. We're going there now or something like that.
So, yes, sir.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I gotta move to China now. That
No,
what you're telling me?
think of what you're saying. Only, you know, the global problem. What's next? We're gonna go to a different planet and maybe get lucky there. This issue is not going to stop anytime soon.
And that's what I'm aware of that. The issue is global.
It's getting worse,
I think the
David.
problem
It's not
is-
getting better.
You telling me? I'm trying to get on my situation. So I can be a nomad again, be by myself.
But Mariana, I want to.
But that's the reason why I took mixed martial art to control my rage. I had a rage issue before I got into mixed martial art, aka Shitu karate. And what I did when I got into it, I figured out a way to suppress it as far as possible. And don't get me wrong, when I got back to the state, my next thought was trying to join the military. I was trying to join the Navy. For some apparent reason that was prevented. So I wasn't able to join the Navy. I was thinking that would be an extra layer of suppression so I could keep all that. Wait, dude, I was a teenage boy who was a walking time bomb at a time. You struck me the wrong way. I'm gonna look at you in my mind and say either to destroy you or just have mercy on you. My mind said to destroy you, only God can save you.
But hang on, David.
But mostly I kept to myself.
Hang on, David. Can I circle back? Because again, for all this,
Go back.
for all the rage that you said you had, you also said that you were a victim of DV.
I was.
So what? Why in that instance didn't the rage come out? And I'm not advocating for it. I'm glad it didn't. But I'm just saying. So What happened in that situation where, again, you talked about you raged against your father and all these other people, but when you're in that situation, what was the thought process then? Was it, I can't hit a woman, I can't get a woman, I can't? I mean, what was going on in your mind then that allowed you to endure that, given your short fuse in general?
And generally speaking, don't even go into my mind. I was asking the question, why me? Why did I have to go through it more than anybody else? Did I belong here? Am I adopted? Because to get the verbal, the physical, and mental abuse, I question my identity. I was thinking I was an adopted child. I thought that maybe I was somebody else's kid. That was a thought process from a very young age. It got to a point you see a young kid in the corner, locked in his thoughts. You called his boy name several times. You had to tap him hard for it to register. That was me.
Easy target.
I'll be that kid in the corner, not bothering nobody. I'm in my own head, analyzing everything. You call my name several times. I don't even hear you, even though you're right there. You have to do something to shake me out of my thoughts. That was me. I was a loner. I was an introvert for the longest part of my
Okay,
life.
so I'm asking you to transfer that to the relation. I want to focus on the when you said you were in a relationship, and I'm assuming an intimate relationship where that took
Hmm.
place. Are you saying that um childhood trauma or those voices that were put into your head about being not being worth anything? Are you saying, I mean, what
Let me
stopped
see.
you from acting out in that relationship? So again,
My
I
I would
understand your
say I would
childhood, but I want to focus what was happening there.
I would say my martial art training I went through plus my faith at the time because I didn't have no self-esteem, so I applied biblical principles as I say God to control what I do, what I say. So when I'm in those situations, I ask myself, what should I do in this situation? In most cases, the only outlet I have was to walk away. If I walk away from an argument, I walk away and take a long walk and think about the actual incident. Was I wrong? Was she wrong? Was I right? Was she right? What did I do wrong here? And I use that moment to think it out. So I don't like to get into a verbal dispute. I like to sit down and talk things out. That was my thing.
David,
I,
that situation is not always gonna be like that.
I
Some
know, no, like I said, I know that. But when it gets to a place whereby it doesn't work, I was a one strike contract kind of guy. When we're in a relationship and I feel like it's not gonna work, I am done. There was no second chance until I got married. All my relationship back then was one strike contracts. If we cannot sit down and talk it out and find a solution and you want to argue, then deuces. That was my thing. Because I don't need to repeat it. But for some reason, I take all that away back then. I convert it to energy. I go to the gym and work out 4 to 6 hours a day every day. That was my youth. That was my only outlet. That was my only therapy. Remember Trey Ferg? He said his therapy was the gym. That was me. 6 hours a day in the gym every day. That was my therapy. I'm not a abusive. I'm like to sit down and talk and get an understanding of things. Because I was trying to analyze why my parents were so abusive to me. What did I do to this? I had to investigate, go behind their back, talk to relatives, where they were coming from. I was an unusual kid. I was like, I need to find the source of the problem. They don't just happen out of nowhere. It took me years to find out my mom and my dad upbringing were very, very messed up. When we got older and I tried to confront my mom as an adult and ask questions, I never knew my mom would continue to gaslight, act like that never happened, like it never existed. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. It got to a point that we had to get a pastor from my church to mediate this situation. And I still get gaslighted, not only by my mom, but my sibling too. So I'm the only one who remember all these events and everything. But there's no honesty from anybody. But I'm just the liar. I'm the bad one. until I hear they admit it that it did happen, but I make me look like a liar.
King, I think you were next.
Specifically, what's the question?
The question was originally when people are in abusive relationship, why don't they get out of it?
Oh, okay. I don't have an answer for that. As I the only thing that I can add to it is that when I shared what happened between my parents, I would probably have a way different outlook on things had my mother lied when the cops had asked if my pops had put his hands on her. I would be a way different person from that one scenario had I seen that firsthand myself. Personally, I don't understand why people just can't walk away. Resources, I can imagine, would be a big factor, right? Like if you are already barely scraping by, I can understand if you have a feeling of, I have nowhere to go. That I can get. And I would still challenge that a bit because if you have family, if you have some type of a network, you have somewhere to go. So I could still challenge that a bit, but for the most part, I don't have anything to add to this because um as a whole, I don't understand why people don't leave.
Hmm.
Let me ask you a
I'm
question.
wondering. Good.
I'm sorry, Paul. Obviously, you and Michelle are being together 3 years now.
Yes.
Yeah. Has ever your arguments ever got heated to the point like like you scream matches? I'm not saying I know you won't ever put a finger on her. I know that I can safely say it, but did it get to the point like you guys had to raise your voices at each other?
No, so that's a fair question. We have not because I'm not somebody that yells, and she has not yelled towards me. She's been frustrated and I've been frustrated, but we haven't
Of
had
course.
shouting matches.
Okay. So I think that's a big factor too, because how you handle the argument too, versus like yourself, or versus like say me or David, we may raise our voices a little bit at times. I know I have in the past. I'm not denying that. Paul, you were going to ask a question before.
Yeah, I was wanting to respond to something King said about the family support, and I'm just wondering if that's more a modern convention than old. Because again, I'm old enough to remember kind of growing up where again all my kinfolk are from the South, and when it came to like marital matters, you mind your business. Or it was like you made your bed and you killed it, so you weren't going to be the debt. Once your father gave you away ever, you were basically the man's property. You know what I mean? And so again, if y'all got marital problems or whatever, y'all figure it out, but don't go crying home to mom if it didn't work out. At least that I remember that being a thing, right? And even in the is it the Godfather movies, they talked, that was a thing too, like in that Italian code, like, Connie was getting beat up, but nobody really wanted to say anything about it unless Sonny went out, and that got what got Sonny deleted because he went and beat up the husband or whatever. So again, certain cultures or whatever, it's like, that sort of thing. You don't go talking your business if you're going through something. People didn't have anybody to talk to. So it seems like that's more a modern convention now, where it's like if you're in trouble, you can go to your dad, you can go there, whatever, and get that resolved. Would you agree with that? That things are better now than maybe back in the day when people were a lot more private. You don't share your business. You don't go to counseling, and that's another thing too. I mean, you didn't even have couples counseling back in the day. You know what I mean? Where people would actively go and says we need therapy or whatever. Just a lot of these things seem to be in the last 20, 30 years where people are saying, okay, if you got a problem, go talk to someone either professionally or otherwise. But I think a lot of people were hush hush about the problems that they were having.
Yeah.
Now, let me say this. Culturally speaking, in my culture, you to have like a village where you have an elder who are the council, and they hear some couple having a dispute. You will have them come to that council and they talk that thing out to resolve those type of dispute. That used to be a thing, but as time changed and time progressed, it seems as if they walked away from that fundamental, or generation of those people don't hold that same mindset anymore. It's more of a favoritism or the picking side, not for the sake of seeking peace or picking or siding with peace whatsoever. That have been an ongoing issue over a while. The younger generation are trying to walk away from the book because they feel like it has been unfair. Because remember, I talked about some people grew up in arranged marriages, right?
Mhm.
Some are forced to go through it because the family had to build a proper connection with a unique family or the family they think is best for them. Some people had to be forced to get married they don't want to be married to. So imagine people from different ethnic groups don't have the luxury that we have here. How do they address that issue? How they go about it? I know we have the legal system that we have when people go to a divorce, you can get child support, you can get all the type of thing. In other ethnic group outside of this country, there's no such thing. So they gotta figure out on their own and navigate that part. I've seen both sides. I've seen what happened here, and I've seen what happened within my 7 years I've been there. And I found that was out of control. And we heard about what's going on in China. They have the certain women, if you get certain age, you consider to be that's psychological is an abuse, if you like it or not. So no matter what we do here in the U.S. already, I say this: if a man report abuse going on in the household, what do the police say about them? You're weak, can't handle that business, or they laugh at you. That was a thing until recently they start to realize men who don't get a outlet who don't have to speak, they start to delete themselves in alarming number because of the level of depression. I have faced my depression many times over to the point where I had to go for a freaking long walk till my leg is numb. At the amount of mileage I got on my feet right now is beyond unreal. So if I walk too long for a long period of time, my feet hurt. I do that to avoid argument. I do that to avoid dispute because I gotta think things through. I mean, call me a weirdo, but I don't believe in going back and forward. If there's a problem, let's sit down and discuss it. But these days, no one wants to discuss anything these days. Everyone want to go back and forth with a verbal attack. If it's not verbal, it will be a physical attack. If it's not physical, it's the emotional attack. And accountability, please. That is like kryptonite. No one wants to accept their accountability. I would accept mine in a heartbeat. The other side, nah. It's always your fault because you're a man. It's never their fault. Really?
Mhm.
So why you
King,
think
you had a
men go
question
Yeah,
as
through what they
King.
well.
go
I
through?
want. Yeah, I want King to address my last question. Um, as far as do you think it's better now than back then when people just didn't talk about stuff at all?
I do. I think that it is better now than back then, simply because more people are talking about it, and I think that there are better, uh, more access to resources now than there was, you know, a couple of decades ago.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Go ahead, P. Yeah.
King, you said you had a question from Mariana in the chat.
Yeah, there was somebody that was watching on my stream. I don't know if all of the comments are coming in, but
They
somebody
are.
wanted to know specifically for Mariana, and I hope I pronounced your name right.
That's fine.
Are other women talking about this specific topic uh, among the same gender? Like, do you see that or do you hear that?
To be quite honest, not that often.
Okay,
Yeah. It's like it's the other way. Like the women are, they consider them the victims.
gotcha.
Why do you think that is, Mariana?
Uh, I hate to say it because it feels that they think that okay, I understand because now the world is changing more. But I know I saw a social experiment. They show how if let's say if a woman abuse her man, anyone's gonna jump in to help him, but everybody kind of laugh about it. But when let's say if a man abuse a woman, but everybody steps in, and I
Mhm.
see those social experiments, and I'm like thinking, why is that? That's something, for a man that's getting beaten up, that's something that's not taken lightly either, and they think it's a joke. And they were doing that. I see it when I was strolling, YouTube. They show that, and it have a high statistics that men likely to get more abuse than women. So I don't understand why men and women always think that, oh, we the victims, this and that. And it's always that one side, which is that, and also these are the women, oh, we don't need men, this and that, and all this other stuff. But in the meantime, I going back to this, but it's all this abuse. But I see, what was it, like a display of a video between a boyfriend and a girlfriend, but then this girl acting too much, putting I don't know what it was, something, and her boyfriend was getting very annoyed, and then she started smacking him in the head, and then he had to walk away. So sometimes, like, if you get into that point, you need to get out of that relationship. It's not even worth it. And that's the question. Why be in a relationship and being trapped in a relationship to somebody to treat you worse than garbage? Which I don't understand that. There's a saying, there's plenty of fish in the sea, yes, but it's not, a life is too short to settle with somebody that's gonna put you down. It's not worth it. And I don't like to see that. It doesn't matter if a man go through that or a woman go through that. And that's too much, I will say, mentally to take that. And of course there's somebody better for me. Of course there's somebody that's going to be, that is for me, not for anything else. You need somebody that is genuine, that's caring. Also, not somebody just come in it and then all of a sudden decided to do a 360 like a Jekyll Hyde. So that's, it's kind of, it's sad to say, and it's wrong. I don't like the fact that men tend to get abused mentally, verbally, emotionally, which, and financially, I will say, because that also goes to the bottom bucket too. So to me it's wrong. That's why it's like it can't be only just one side. So also men also suffer too.
So Mariana, so I got to go back to what I was saying earlier.
Okay.
Children, boys, upbringing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So your mother,
Mm-hmm.
what are you teaching your son at age 5? What are you teaching him at age 15 or
Mm-hmm.
at 25? What is the message then? Because I'm hearing, the good stuff, but I don't know if women necessarily are grasping that, again, how you raise your son
Mm-hmm.
matters. You can say all these things. Oh, don't stay in an abusive relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of hard to navigate if you're still not teaching your son to defend himself in a particular situation. If your son's at the playground and a 5-year-old girl hits him in the back of the head,
Mm-hmm.
are you going to tell him don't hit back? Or are you going to, I mean, what are you going to teach? Because I think, and women are the first teachers of boys, especially in the African
Yeah.
American community. It's like 70-80% of households are female led.
Yeah.
So again, what are you as a woman going to teach your son
Mm-hmm.
about how to handle at any level, and in grammar school, in high
Mm-hmm.
school,
Mm-hmm.
in a relationship thing? Your son calls you up and says, "Look, she just hit me with a frying pan."
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to tell him? Because
Yeah.
I think until that message gets through, not just to the men talking about it, but to the women,
Mm-hmm.
and what you're telling your sons or your
Mm-hmm.
nephews or those
Mm-hmm.
boys that are close to you,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that a lot's going to change. And like I said, we see it here tonight. Guys have been abused since early ages,
Yeah.
and that can have impact on your intimate relationship. So, what are you as a mom going to teach your son
Hmm.
to hopefully to prevent these things from happening in the future?
In the future. That's a good question because I observed this a lot from growing up. Well, my mom was saying this to my brother, so this is I'm going to imply this to my nephews or my future son that comes about, whatever the case is. Um, uh, this is a tough one. Um, be very careful who who you have in your life. Like you could be friends, but if let's say if somebody's being rough on you, walk away. Let's say if it's in school, tell the teacher, I don't want him to get into violence, because the last thing I don't want him to get suspended. That's the thing. I know, because it's always, this is a very tough question. Very is. For the thing is, if let's say if he brings somebody, let's say if he's in a relationship and this person give a hard time, I would say walk away. I say if this person is not good for you, if this person doesn't have if this woman um is not for you, then I will have to step in, because if she's gonna give you this, like, oh, don't leave, and then she doesn't want to get out of the house, giving you all this, like abusing you, throwing stuff at you. I don't want, I don't want my nephews or my son to go through that,
But why
because
would you
I
step in
had to
though?
step in.
But why? But why? I'm saying, but why you?
Why
Because like I
me?
said, what are you teaching him? Oh, if I get in trouble, go to mommy. That's what I'm saying. I mean,
Yeah.
how we're raising our sons, I think, needs to
Mm-hmm.
change. And I'm not saying guys go out there and muscle up and go. I'm not saying that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just saying nobody should be putting their hands on anybody.
Yeah.
And if it has to come down to self-defense or anything to get yourself out of a situation, a man should
Mm-hmm.
not be afraid to act, or a boy should be not
Mm-hmm.
be afraid to act for fear of repercussion. Because the same thing can happen if it was another boy he was in school with,
Mm-hmm.
and a fight broke out or whatever. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
would you say the same? Would you say the same thing? And I've known big kids that have been bullied by little smaller kids
Mm-hmm.
because they, because they either are fearful or again they haven't been taught to have any kind of self-respect for themselves. But just the
Yes.
fact that you're saying that, okay, if something happens, then I, as the mom, have to step in to protect my son, even if he's an adult.
But
That's
then he
that's
needs
that's
to, yeah,
that's a tough. That's to me, that's a hard sell. And again, I wish
yeah.
I had a son
Mm-hmm.
that I could certainly share. And King, I know we have kids, but we don't have sons. But again, what would and jump into this also? What would you, in this modern context, the way things are, what would
I
you
could
teach
say,
your son
I could say, some
about that
people,
kind of? Yeah, go ahead.
some, in my case, I had nowhere to go. Yeah, I had my ex-partner beating the crap out of me most weeks. Right? What the hell's that background music? Sorry. Um, my ex-partner was beating the crap out of me in this flat. Literally, I
Oh
had a
wow.
computer literally by where that wardrobe is now.
Oh my gosh.
Right? And she'd come in and smashing the crap out of me. The only times I ever laid a hand on her was literally pin her on the bed. Yeah? And that's not her. That's one before.
Thankfully.
She does annoy me, but never.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, some people in my cases have nowhere to go. They can't reach out to people because half the people don't want to help them. Yeah. I broke up with my ex because I had enough, but I lived with her for at least a year. Yeah, on the sofa in the living room. Do you know that where I usually sit? You see me on the
Yeah,
main
yeah.
screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I used to have a 3-seater sofa in that exact position. That's a 2-seater with another 2-seater next to it. but there was a 3-seater right there, and I used to sleep right there. She used to come in and attack me for no reason because she was fucking mental, right? But moved from here to Seaford, and she'd do the same thing again because I still stayed living with her because I slept on the sofa. But when she disappeared, I met her, and she gave me a run for my money. Believe me, she gave me a run for my money. But going back to your point where your son, where you stood in for your son, stepped up for your son, I wish I had that. I never had it. I really, really didn't, love. Right? And before I got with my other ex, before I broke up with my other ex, my mum did step up. My ex was, I was going to a cupboard one day. My ex, we were both living with her father at the time. And she just literally just randomly started punching the shit out of the back of my head. Right? And her father stood there watching her do it. He turned around and said, why didn't you turn around and hit it back? I was like, because I don't agree with hitting women. I will sit there and I'll physically take it. Yeah. I became homeless after that. I went and slept in my mum's car around about Christmas time with the windows freezing up. Yeah. And as I said, relationship after that before Nikki. Same happened again, but I stayed in this flat because I had nowhere else to go. Because otherwise I'll be homeless.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, in your case, your son would probably appreciate the support, but he's a man. He needs to stand up for himself. If you understand where I'm coming from, yeah. He needs to stand up on his own 2 feet, not rely on mummy all the time. I didn't rely on my mum a lot of the time. I don't rely on my mother now. I couldn't depend on my mother. Yeah, my mum likes that too much. Yeah, I haven't spoken to my mum for over 2 years. So, yeah, there's a lot of things, but I'm not going to go into
Let me
all of them.
piggyback
Right.
that one. I can.
Hang on. Mariana, I want to circle
Yes.
back to you
Okay.
after hearing what Craig just said. Do you
Yeah.
have, do you have an idea now? I guess what we're getting at,
Yeah.
what we're
I
saying.
will.
Then I want to hear from King, and then we can go to Davis because David, you do have
Okay.
a son, so I want to hear from you as well. So let's hear from Mariana, go to King, and then to David.
I'm gonna say to him, I say, make sure you have your cameras to have evidence because they're gonna see, oh, she's, I don't want to hear, oh, he beats me up and all that, and then she could accidentally hit herself or whatever the case is. Be smart. Make sure you have your cameras. Whatever, every corner, whatever the situation happened, but be discreet about it. And of course, take her to court if you want to settle to divorce, because you need to defend yourself, but you also need to not have her walk all over you, but also not to destroy you. So, also lawyer up. I hate to say it. It's, I can't be always there for you, but you need to fight this battle. Because I'm a parent, as a mother, I love you, but you need to fight this battle, and I will support you no matter what. That's what I will say to my son. And because I don't want to see my son suffer this way. So,
But you would never teach your son to physically protect himself against a woman.
he has to self-defense, but he has to have, as I say, proof of cameras, because I don't want to, like there's only one side and there is no proof. Because I want him to be aware, because they're gonna say that, oh, I got hit by him, and oh, you see, he beat me up, I get all bruises and everything. I want him to have physical evidence, and he could show that to court, because without proof, they're not gonna believe him, the words coming out of his mouth.
He may
So
need a camera in every room of the
yeah, I
every
mean,
Oh,
in the
actually you have
bathroom,
to.
in the car. You may have to have
Yeah,
cameras
you
24/7.
oh, time out here. You guys forget I have cameras in every single room here.
I'm just saying, but
yeah.
that's what is that's what is coming out. But McKing, what are your thoughts on this? If you had a son, so again, your son at age 5, you're at the park, you're on the monkey bars or the swing or whatever, and some girl just comes and just smacks your son in the back of the head. Maybe she even likes him, but she just smacks him back. What are you saying? What are you going to teach your son about, at these different levels in terms of how to deal with a woman who's physically, well, definitely physically, but even emotionally, verbally abusive? How are you going to navigate that?
Paul, that's the
Or if I was
excellent.
going to even ask, what do you think Michelle would say?
That's an excellent hypothesis or question. I have to answer that by saying this. You asked me this question if I would have been a father. I'm 41 now, under the age of 30, 31. Let's say I had a child, 5 years old, 6 years old. In your scenario for what you've given, as a guy raised from the South, what I would have said different then would have been a lot different from today now. I think what we see now is a result of the things happening, not just in our culture but around the world, where violence against men by women doesn't get checked because of how people are taught. So if you do something and it's not checked, as a young woman or a young girl, you'll grow up and, oh, I can smack so and so upside his head. I can be feisty. I can do these things because there's not going to be any level of accountability that happens towards me. So the person I am now, knowing what I know now, I would tell my son to protect his neck. And there are ways that he's going to have to do that that are part of um I mean, there's just a myriad. It's sad that that you're going to have systems in place so that if something does get to where it escalates, you have enough either witnesses or surveillance or something that when it comes time for you to fight the he said she said battle, you can present evidence that shows contrary to what somebody is saying to you. So I think, yeah, it has to start young. You tell your son to protect his neck. It doesn't matter um, the gender of the person that's attacking you, and then just be smart about it as you execute it. I have to add one quick story in with this. When I was in high school, a girl who I dated and we were like horse playing around, right? And I was a football weightlifter. I could bench press 400 pounds when I was a junior and senior in high school. And her and I were playing, and like she grabbed me and then I grabbed her, and then she pulled away from me, like just casual horse playing, and she bruised her wrist. I didn't know that initially because she didn't say anything.
Mhm.
Then when she came to school the next day, I was like, "Hey, what happened?" She goes, "Oh, I hurt my wrist." I was like, "Oh, when?" Like I wasn't thinking about it resulting from us playing around, right? But imagine how like things that I think now, how that conversation could have gone had she gone home and said, "Oh, my boyfriend and I were playing or whatever," and it got like however it would have been framed,
Yeah.
and how that again, one choice that you make or you don't make can shape everything that happens going forward. So it is my belief now, as somebody that's older, you tell your son to protect your neck. You don't have to go and just beat down people.
Right.
Yet there's a video that is starting to go viral on X, and a guy that's walking out of a bar. He's trying to leave a situation, and there's a shorter, smaller, 5 foot nothing, 102-pound woman that's like hitting him and attacking him, and he's just trying to walk away. And I mean, she probably hit this dude about 10 times.
Mhm.
And on the 11th time, he doesn't turn around to hit her. He does like this, but because she's 5 foot nothing and like 100 and nothing pounds, he does like this to like do like this and stop her from trying to follow him and hit him, and she like goes up, hits the wall, and the moment he does that, after everybody's watching him trying to leave this situation, when she gets hurt because of that, that's when everybody starts to descend on him to like try to whoop his ass, until other people that saw everything as well went to go stop them because they saw that he was trying to defend himself. So it has to start young, so that culturally, or however you want to say it, other people are raised that they know that it doesn't matter what your gender is. Violence is violence, plain and simple.
Yeah. David.
As a father, know what I told my son, I'm gonna be dead on with you. I told my son, if you date or talk to a particular female, if she shows sign that she could be doing handy on herself, don't know how to keep her hand to herself, walk away with her. Do not even put on no type of relationship with that kind of person. But I say, if I find out you do, I'm gonna come to you and body slam you myself. You dig? Don't even let me find you dating some sick, mentally ill woman who feel it's okay to hit a guy and you okay with a guy. I will body slam. For real, for real. Don't play with me.
But you're
Oh, that's
saying
my
walk
son.
away. You wouldn't sell him to defend himself.
No, I was told to walk away. You could defend yourself if you need to, but walk away completely. Remove yourself from the situation. Be as far away as possible. Do not entertain that.
Mm.
Because I didn't have no one there for me for years. I'm no different from Craig. I got put out by both parents, even when they were divorced. I've been in the shelter in New York City while I still had a job. No one looked out for me. I didn't get a lifeline. Shoot. I
David,
used
I've
to
been
sleep
there
in the
too.
park, sleep on the subway. Those are my experience to the point whereby you are forced to build a protective wall around yourself mentally that you don't let certain people in after a while. But to get older, you try and drop the guard down a bit. And this is why I set rules, I set boundaries when it comes to relationships. So even when I come out, this particular, my boundary will be a little more stricter. I need to check your background. I need to check your family. I need to check your medical report. I need to check your police report. I need to talk to all your ex. You know how you have a Carfax? I think you have an Equifax. What
Good
will
luck
your
with
ex
that,
say
David.
about you?
Good luck. Good luck. People can hide a
If I
lot.
can't, if I can get, I know, but here's the thing: if I can't get an Equifax, I ain't talking to you. It's that
Mm.
simple. I'm not taking that risk no more. Cause people can lie to you. Let me hear the other side of it. I learned that lesson. When you hear
Yeah,
both
yeah.
sides of the story, you
I'm
can
getting
make
all
that
that,
judgment.
but you're saying walk. I mean, both you and Sparta. Again, you guys have studied martial arts. What did your sensei say?
Always defend
Avoid the
yourself.
fight at all times.
So why? Okay, so that's a difference then. Avoid the fight. So whether it be male or
Oh,
female,
I said
you
defend yourself at all times. Me and David have
no
different
no.
theories.
David said
Yeah.
avoid the fight. You said defend. So I'm just contrasting
Mhm.
the two. So David, in your case, even if it's a guy, see that I can get with. You know what I'm saying? If you're saying in all circumstances, walk away from a fight, do not engage male or female. I can get with that. Or in Sparta's case, if he says defend yourself at all times, male or female, and I'm sure that you had women in your classes.
I had a Sparta woman.
Yeah, but did you go were you taught to go 100% on that, or did you pull your punches because it was a female?
We said train like a man
Train
because
like a man. Okay. So
yeah,
like I said, so you
because
got
if she's fighting a man on a street, she knows how to defend herself on the street like that.
My
right.
sensei said, elected the last choice you have, then you could defend
That
yourself.
I
But
couldn't that
try
I
to
can
I've always
accept
avoid
walked
as
the
a
away.
general
situation at all
philosophy.
times because it's good to walk away and live another day. But if
I've
you
always
cannot
No,
walked
walk
yeah.
away.
away, then defend yourself. That should be your last card to use.
I can get with that. I can get with that. But then Peter, then I'll go to you and say you were taught this from a very young age to defend yourself. You did it in classes, you did it in sparring, you did it in tournaments or what have you. But when it came to this situation, Why didn't you
I
defend
didn't.
yourself?
Because I
didn't.
knew for a fact if the cops showed up and I defend myself, I'll be the first one in handcuffs. And it's
That
double
is
standard
clear.
out there. And I think most of our men on this panel can agree with that. You know, David can agree with that. I think Kane's going to agree with that. And Greg over in the UK, you know, agree
But
with
but
that.
Mr. Bennett, it's not that you defend yourself. You just hold her hand tight enough so she won't hit you. As long as that print on her wrist showing that you are holding her hand,
Even a scratch.
that one too.
Why do you think I have cameras in every single room in my apartment? From my bedroom to my office to the kitchen and downstairs. I know people say that's freaky. I don't give a shit. It's freaky.
So you're saying that's from your experience with her is why you have that
That's not the
experience.
biggest reason. The biggest reason to keep an eye on my mom, mostly, to be honest
Okay.
with you. Originally, the camera started downstairs to keep an eye on her. But after this situation happened, I invested in 2 more cameras for the upstairs too.
Wow.
So if to any single young guy, you at your own place from a tech, get a camera for every single room possible and make sure she does not know where the camera is
So,
for
guys, we're
your
getting
own
towards the
sake.
end. We're getting towards the end. Let's get our final thoughts. Let's go in order. King, you go first. Paul, David, Mariana, and Greg.
Well, I'm thankful that all of the men that are here that have experienced this firsthand have stepped up and shared their experience going through this. Because again, as I stated at the beginning, I wasn't aware of anything firsthand outside of what I did observe between my parents that could have. The truth was told, but a lie could have definitely changed the way that I would have viewed relationships and things going forward. I would like to share that even though I have not experienced it firsthand, it is my opinion wholeheartedly that it really doesn't matter what your gender is, there are resources. Period. I have secondhand knowledge of one lady that have used the resource, and the number was put in the chat earlier, to get out of a relationship and get help. I know of one guy who talked about him trying and things weren't necessarily given to him that he felt confident enough that he could safely exit a situation, and it took him a little bit longer to get out of his situation without having any real hard impacts toward his life that it would have been difficult for him to navigate from. So for me, I just want to leave folks with an understanding that that you do have options. It's difficult for me to say that when I hear men that have gone through it, and even though I haven't gone through it, you have options. So I'm going to leave it with that. Thanks for having me on, and this was definitely eye opening. That's all I've got.
Definitely appreciate this conversation tonight and the transparency from all the guys, from Craig, Ray, brother. Really appreciate you sharing. David, Pete. Certainly you shared your story in the past, and really we got further aligning tonight. So I really appreciate guys who've been bold, and I think it's going to take more of that. It's going to take. How does anything move? How does any advocacy happen? Is when men start to speak up and then start to mobilize to make sure that the protections that are supposedly in this Violent Against Women Act does truly apply to all men. That hotline number that was posted earlier, use it and really make your voices heard. But again, it's going to be hard to have empathy when guys don't speak out. And at this point, again, with the weapons that are available and all the things that are at kids going in and finding mommy and daddy's gun and using it. So again, I mean, we can't say, oh well, because it's a woman that you're going to be at any less threat. And I've seen tons of these um these traffic stop videos where you got the woman, trying to get a woman who's on one in handcuffs is it's like, man, it's like you got this little woman, but you got 3, 4 cops can't even get her on the ground and get her in the handcuffs. So women are very capable of. I mean, watch any of these Karen videos, Karen police stop videos, and see what these officers have to go through to try to get. They got to literally put some of these women in these casts, almost behind their feet and legs and everything, just to get her in the car. So, and I know cops personally, it's like some of the worst folks that had to go up when a woman is on some stuff. That is not an easy task, and you got guys 250-pound police officers, and they still dealing with stuff. So again, these things are going to be there. So again, use the hotlines, report what you need, get out of a situation. I agree with that. Again, I'm not advocating violence against women, but I think as anyone deserves the right to protect themselves and their loved ones from anybody, regardless of who that is. And I think we need to start implementing that in our in society, so that guys don't are feel restricted. Say, oh, I can't do this because you're fearful of everything. You're fearful of the law. You're fearful of the person in front of you. You're just operating in fear all the time. But your life is valuable, and you have every right to protect it. And so, I think it has to start with how you're raising your sons. That's why I was pressing on Mariana tonight. Because again, yeah, it's like it sounds good, but at the end of the day, what are you going to teach your son? Whether it be at 5 or 15 or 25, how to protect himself. And yes, technology can certainly help, but again, it seems like that's the world we're in. You got to have 24/7 service, and then people complain about privacy. Because if you got the Google, everyone says Google knows what you're saying. They your phone, your life is public anyway. So this is kind of how we're forced to live now, where you have to have a camera even in the most intimate of settings. And God forbid if that camera footage gets out. But I'm just saying, you're gonna be is this where we're going? Where there's no privacy, there's nothing that you have to have, 24/7 protection, recordings going on to protect yourself. I think it's a sad state of affairs that we're in. But again, I can't encourage guys enough. Start reporting and don't worry about it. I think we've evolved enough now. I mean, yes, you got some of these tough guys and be like, oh, dude, you step up and handle your business and stuff like that or whatever. But I think I think I've seen enough in the space to know that I think that if these things were truly happening, I think you would get support from guys. So again, end the stigma and put yourself in a situation where your personhood is protected at all times. And that's all I really want to say on it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's your neighborhood beer paw, African beer paw. I'll just say this. This is a unique conversation. We addressed this concept before a year or two ago on the Black Men Unfiltered Network. And we're here again because there's so much going on in today's society that it needs to be spoke upon. I don't support verbal abuse, mental abuse, nor physical abuse, even though I went through it a whole lot in my life. I will suggest that women who have male child need to find a male role model to raise their son up properly so they know how to conduct themselves in situations such as what I went through. I know there are not a lot of resources for men to escape such relationships. In the past couple of years, I've seen police videos whereby the man was stabbed, almost got out with their own life until they see the physical improve, they can arrest the woman. A lot of women have taken so many chances using the system against men. Now it's turning around. Thank God for mandatory DNA testing right now. Hoping to make it a federal thing now. That's another thing they use against men these days, but that'll be another conversation. But I do not condone, I do not tolerate, I do not support any kind of abuse on anybody. I grew up in it. I was raised in that environment. It did put a severe mental scar on me to the point whereby I tend to keep to myself for that same reason. I'm an intellectual thinker. I like to think things through. I don't like to argue. But for someone who wants to talk things out, they try to make it seem like it's weak. It's not weakness. It takes strength to restrain yourself than going barbaric. I tell you that right now. Because if that was the case, then I should have joined UFC when I came back to the state, which I was trying to. That's the only reason I was trying to get to UFC to release all the rage I had pent up over the couple of decades. So I don't hurt nobody. So that's why I call myself Bear Pup. But other than that, it was a great topic. I want everybody who watched the show leaving your comment if you have experienced it, what have you done to recover from it or to overcome it. This is something that we need to discuss. If we're able to have a second part to the show and have people who are advocating for the opportunity and ask them about the resources, are they available for men as it is for women? Because I know in New York City it's barely there. And I'm aware of that. There's always resources for women, but for men, that's not the case. And that should change, but it depends on who you vote into office. But other than that, I appreciate it. Thank you, King Smith, for being on the panel. I'm glad to see you on the panel. Mr. Paul Bennett, thank you, my big brother. Craig, thank you very much. And as well, Peter, Mariana, I'm glad you were here on the panel. Did you have more women like you to come on this type of panel and have this type of discussion? So we can see on multiple angles how we can address such issue. This is a very unique topic in itself. Don't worry, I'm normal for now. As long as you don't trigger this black bear, all right? This is Bear Paw. I'm out.
Well, this is a good topic, and I think this is gonna for for the whole. I'm hearing. Sorry. Um, this is a topic that we have to talk about more often, because this is something is like very serious. This is something you cannot take lightly. And this is happening very often for men getting abused, not only physically, mentally, emotionally. Um, and it's sad today. It's happened more often, as people don't realize, that it's, and of course they're afraid to report it. They think, oh, that's him, like they think, how can a guy get abused from a woman and all that? And should not be ashamed, because it happens on a daily basis. I don't even know the statistics, but I know it's high. And also, I could see this in public display, like when you're going out, or and sometimes a woman could insult her significant other. There's no need for that. And then you feel like let down, feel like, okay, I don't feel like I want to engage. That put a, just feel like it's discouraging. But I will say this, for a man, started this, you have to start it from very young. Like, you don't want to be with a woman that's like that. Once it's that, once you show red flags, like putting down, saying this, get out. You don't want to put yourself in that situation anymore. There's no need for that in any level of abuse. Doesn't matter, mentally, physically, emotionally, and also financially, because sometimes a woman doesn't have best intention for men. And it's it's that somebody has to be, for a guy go through that, it has to be both the parents, the mother and the father, have to guide them, but especially the father, show that this is a good woman and this is a bad woman. So it has to go from the very beginning, and then you, as you gradually, from the time child, from teenager to adulthood, they need to know as they make decisions later in life. um so it's very crucial. Now, this is something that, and it's crucial for that, if a man going through that, you have to help out. Doesn't matter if a male or female, because that's something that, men that go through something like it's, and they have resources, but of course you have to talk it out. You cannot, feel like to hide it. It takes a while to, I'm not going to say you could recover from it because there still be scars. So, um, yeah, it just, this is something that it's going to take time, but it's also, I think we need to educate ourselves, and people need to know this has happened very often. So, but that's all I can say.
Craig might not know that he's up. Craig, you have the floor.
Sorry. Yeah, no, I was just trying to sort something out quick. Yeah, it's all bad, but there should be more support for men as well, as much as women. I personally think they should start support groups on Discord and stuff like that. What happened to everyone was bad. Nothing more to say that. Women hitting blokes. Blokes thinks it. A lot of men actually think it's embarrassing, so they don't mention it to a lot of people. That's all I've got to say on the matter. Sorry, guys.
Greg, you're good, man. This is it was your moment to say what you need. But what I want to say, hang on, I want to blow myself up here for a second. What I'm going to say is, being a victim myself, thinking you're too cowardly or not man enough to go report it. You're wrong. Report it. Do the right thing. More of us report it, less of these situations are going to happen. Don't be embarrassed. Ask for help. Go to therapy afterwards. It would help because I went to therapy. I asked for help. Obviously, my situation didn't work because but you still ask for it. More we ask, more we're going to get. More we acknowledge the problem, it is a problem out there, things are going to change. It always starts with one person. And don't sit there like I did, thinking you're going to fix that person because you're not going to be able to. They need to fix themselves. So I want to thank everybody, including my friend King. I told
Really?
you, I told you
Really?
I got your ringtone. Shut up.
Really? Hold on. I'm more African than him. You don't play that for me, but you will play me the groove song? Try that. How about that now?
What is this, you guys? You guys get theme songs and you are crying about it.
No. I say bear paw. You want to say you play Groot, and you play that African song for King Smith?
You've reached your limit on talking. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, we
African
play. Yeah,
drive-by.
look, I'm 86%. All right, I'm 24% Nigerian. All right, I'm like 54% West African. The other part is from the
I
Congolese
have a
area.
immunity
So
on my hands here.
I'm claiming my African. So I'm not. Yeah. So I'm doing.
What is this?
I'm
Immunity on me,
I'm
my
doing the lip
hands?
thing. So look, you ain't taking my Nigerian away. You ain't taking my African away. So look, I'm
See?
yeah. Play the African music, Pete. So,
Thank you.
You know I got that from the
That's
Lion
right.
King, right?
Hey,
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
I don't know if y'all can see that. That's my 23andMe. That joint say 76.9% sub-Saharan African, baby.
That's right.
Put me in the
I'm having a
club.
race for it here. All right, let's
Yeah,
get
you're
a
black. You're
Scouts
blacker
update
than
really
me, man.
fast.
I'm
Let's do a Scouts update really fast. Guys, if you guys missed the interview me and Paul did with Norm Miller yesterday, go back and check it out. That was one of my favorite interviews. I think
very
it's
good.
That was
Very
actually a brilliant show. Really
I'm
was.
sorry.
That was a
Yeah.
brilliant show. That really
Yeah.
was.
Between CQ, Dwayne White, King, and now him, those are my top 4 ones right now. I'll be honest with you guys. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah,
So
Joe was nice too.
yeah,
You know,
that doesn't go into Joe. Like
he was
he's
great.
on my top 5. All right,
Mhm.
really quick schedule update. Tomorrow we're gonna have Sean changing days. So tomorrow is Sean's show. I'm still waiting for him to reach back me on the topic. And Paul and Trey are doing Buying the House Tips Part 1.
Yes.
I did update that by the way
That's
for you already.
Appreciate it.
That's dope.
And David and Wyatt are moving to Friday. There'll be One Piece, the manga, the brushes into the screen.
One
Um,
Piece.
yeah. You guys are talking about manga, not the One Piece show. You're talking about the
I
manga.
know the manga. I'll plug it. One Piece manga is a big deal, regardless if you want to like it or not, because the reason why they had to do some hiatus every now and then is because the anime is catching up with the manga right now. But that's the whole nother story in a sense. But we will
Dude, you
talk
got
about
over
it.
1,000 episodes a season.
1,148 and counting.
All right, I rest my case. All right, on Saturday, guys, we're gonna be going over who is the most powerful Marvel superhero.
Oh
This
gosh.
show I should have CQ on, but he's always busy when I'm doing shows like these.
We doing
I
And
this
might.
You better
argument.
set some parameters on that show. I'm not joining the show unless we set some parameters.
oh yeah,
on
I'm
it.
gonna have that already. Don't worry. You
I
guys
don't want to
just
hear
listen.
about fourth dimensional power. I don't want to hear about this dark matter. They can now the character for 20 years, you know him. Now he can tap into this dark power because some guy decided to just take his power to infinity.
Oh,
Or
there could be
whatever.
rules. Don't worry.
Yeah, you gotta have some rules, man.
I'm gonna email the rules
deal
to
with
you
it.
guys
I
can't do
on
it.
probably Thursday or Friday. So look out for that email. Actually, I'm not gonna email. I'll put it in a group chat. So you guys are gonna have that. And Sunday on Grayer, we're having what's his name? Doug Bennett. And I wanna art fighting who's the real Bennett that night. So
I'm just saying I ain't in it. All right. So my DNA, look, unless
guys look
we
related.
might be relatives, but he's not my son. I'll just say that. All right.
It looked like your son almost. You seen
like I
pictures of him?
said, my name is Bennett, and I ain't in it. So
Yeah. Except that King, final words. Any last thing you want to go? You want to plug in yourself really fast before we go?
Yeah, no. So I do several live streams. I do the King and Me show on Mondays, in which me and my lady talk about dating and relationships from a modern perspective.
seriously, that's my Monday dog walk show. I watch these guys every Monday night. It's an excellent show. Definitely tune into the show. They do great work with that.
That's pretty dope, man. Thank you. And you can find that on all streaming platforms. Just look up The King and Me. It's not hard to find. I'm a furloughed federal employee now, so I just do a daily vlog where I come on and talk about whatever is on my mind. If you look up The Actual King Smith, you can find me there. And then on Wednesday nights, except for tomorrow, because I have a prior engagement, I do the Sports Bar with Coach on WTF Nation Radio, where we just talk sports news and things like that from the perspective of a fan. We're not analysts or anything like that. We just like to talk sports and chop it up. So I'm doing something almost every day.
Except when it comes to wrestling, because you got to call your secret weapon in.
Oh yeah, man. If we do anything that's wrestling, I'm getting peed on. Well, that way. I still did it wrong. Peed on all day.
Yeah, you don't have me in the discussion. I go a little different.
You don't want to shut the fuck up sometimes, dude.
Oh, okay. I'm a nerd. Duh.
All right.
But thanks for having me on, Spot. I appreciate it.
Guys, as always, this is the Spartan Arena. Make sure you guys tune into the other shows. Go back and watch some replays. Leave a comment. Hit us up. Really won't cost you anything to hit us up. It's kind of free, actually, believe it or not. Except that, guys, as
comment
always,
on this show, please. We want to hear from you guys, please.
Guys, as always, stay fresh, stay safe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.